Boston Celtics are doing it again to the 76ers. Joel Embiid, great. James Harden, not so great.
Terrible.
And guess who I've got with me?
Trash.
It's Jared Weiss.
Garbage.
On a bonus Locked On NBA podcast.
Be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Boston, baby, we do what you can't. Locked on number 18, Tatum and Brown, J-team, step back. We gon' wet that and slay teams. Of course, the Celtics, who else could it be? Screaming like KG with the Larry O.B. Karalis above average, assessing the team status. Best daily pod, no cap, salary matching. Clutch like Bird the DJ, keep John on replay. Prime time, dapping up the truth on the sideline. Rainy J's, how it started, raising banners, how we finish. Locked on Celtics, pod, home of the winners. B.
All right, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast. I don't know what it is about me doing these post-game podcasts, these bonus, like something about Friday, Saturday podcasts. I completely screw up the intros. I have no idea what I'm saying anymore. But I'm here at the Wells Fargo Center with Jared Weiss of The Athletic after the Celtics 114-102 win, Game 3. Feels like a classic Celtics 76ers series to me where Celtics kind of have the plan. Joel Embiid plays well, surprisingly well, actually. And everyone else is kind of, and Celtics win.
I thought you were going to say because there was bloodshed, a home player got booed on his own court. There was fireworks at the beginning of the game.
All those things. Yeah.
It was truly, I mean, it was a bizarre night in that you have like the stage set for Joel Embiid as the MVP. Had a good game for sure. But James Harden just being complete trash was the story of the game, to the point that like I got at least 4 point shaving jokes about James Harden at halftime tonight. The numbers don't look as bad because like he had a couple shots at the very end. His usage was so high that he was going to get those dimes. But like this was a like genuinely concerning game for the Sixers and how he looked, and just huge for the Celtics. Because at this point, I mean, obviously if Harden plays dramatically better, the series is going to get very tight again. But Harden is just on such a sharp downward spiral right now, and the Celtics are in full control. He's just not asserting himself anymore.
Just makes you wonder, did game 1 actually happen, or did I like have a fever dream?
No, we all blacked out.
We all we all got like incepted, and that thing happened somewhere in some universe. Harden, 3 of 14, 2 of 7. He got to the line a few times, 8 of 9. He did get those 11 assists, so you can sit there and maybe justify. So no, he was getting other guys involved, whatever, and he just had a bad shooting night. I don't know. They put me way up top, like I was hanging from the banners. But there was one possession early on where I tweeted out, I'm like, does Harden really want to be here right now? Because he had a clear path, and I'm like bird's eye view. It's like he had a clear path to the rim. And he just didn't take it. He just kind of backed off. So after the game, everybody's talking about the defensive job that they were doing on James Harden. But I was like, yes, they did play good defense on Harden, but also Harden played good defense on Harden.
I mean, did you see what Harden's answer was when he was asked, like, what did the Celtics, or did the Celtics do anything to like affect you today?
Nope.
He said, nope. And he's not wrong. I mean, they played good defense, but there were many opportunities where he just needed that little extra oomph to get to the rack, which he has done throughout his career. He's one of the best players of all time. It's not like he doesn't know how to do this, right?
Right.
And he just refused to do it in weird scenarios where there was just a couple plays where he was one dribble away from a physical layup. Yeah. Where it wasn't even going to be that well contested. Maybe Tatum would have flown in and blocked it, but like he knows how to use his shoulder to leverage and all that kind of stuff. And for some reason,
and flop.
Yeah, exactly. And what's funny is Marcus Smart had a play tonight where he elevated over Paul Reed, got his like hand right up to the rack, and then passed it to Malcolm Brogdon, who missed a wide open 3. And I was like, I looked at him like, only James Harden would do something like that. It was genuinely. It was honestly okay. It's really frustrating. As someone who loves basketball, I'm sure most people are like, shut up, Jared. But it's really frustrating watching James Harden playing like this because we just saw in game 1 how incredible he is. He's like he's one of the all-time great scorers. And this has been a big part of his career is the massive Jekyll and Hydes, especially in these huge games. Like it's not like he like struggles in big games. Like last year in the elimination game, he just straight up stopped playing. Yeah. And this was a game where at least he didn't completely stop playing, but he was being so passive in ways that were just kind of, it didn't make sense for a guy like
passive.
him.
Passive is the best way to put it.
Passive by passing.
Yes. Yeah. It just doesn't, I don't know. When Embiid played 39 minutes, 30 points, 13 rebounds, got to the line 12 times, hit 11 of them. We could talk about in a minute the defensive job. I thought the Celtics really did a good defensive job on Joel Embiid for the most part.
For sure.
But I think the free throws bumped him. 11 free throws is going to bump up your total. Some of that's just kind of unavoidable with him. But when you get that, coming into this game, I thought one of the biggest questions was the game 2 Harden indicative of, game 2 Embiid indicative of the Embiid that you're going to see the whole series? Or was that the knock the rust off, get him back, and we're going to see a more Joel Embiid like Joel Embiid? And clearly it was the latter. It was, he's moving better than I expected, and he's playing pretty well. Still not his normal self, I think. I don't think he can do a lot of work backing people down, pushing off of that leg.
Not at all.
He's still really effective as a face-up guy. But when you get that, especially when there's so many question marks, to not get all that other stuff for the Celtics defense to take away some of these other guys. Maxey, 4 of 16, he couldn't hit a damn thing.
Jesus.
You got Tobias Harris and PJ Tucker combining for 16 points. That's a huge thing. Meanwhile, the Celtics had 6 guys in double figures and really just spread out, good defense, good offense, good everything. Like I said before, the Celtics are doing their thing again against the Sixers. Game 1, I think, is an aberration because they didn't have Embiid, and they're clearly not going to sit Embiid. It just feels like, okay, this is the formula. The Celtics are doing the exact same thing to the Sixers that they've always done.
The funny thing is they're a better team without Embiid in the way that they play. Obviously, they're better with the MVP, but they play the style of play that actually works. I think the reason why you can't just be like, Joel, we're just going to make you play this way is that Harden clearly cannot sustain that.
Yeah,
because it should be easier for him. I was talking to someone before the game. I think it was a source on the Celtics side. They were saying that there was this one stat that showed that Harden's shot quality based on second spectrum metrics is better in game 2 than it was in game 1. And for all the shitting on Missoula that we did in game 1, those were contested threes.
Yeah.
Those are really hard shots that he had to hit. He had some incredible drives in that game. He went God mode. And the Celtics have been a little bit more aggressive on him. They've just, basically at this point with him and Embiid in the pick and roll, they're just selling out on packing the paint and completely ignoring the corner shooters, which still continued to work in this game. They hit the same number of threes. They had a really good shooting night from 3, but they got nothing on the interior except for Embiid hitting a bunch of pull-ups, and then he had a couple good face-up moves. His face-up game is 75% there. You're right. His back to the basket game is gone, and makes me wonder, are they going to double less in game 4? Because they tried to double him out of his back to the basket game a lot.
Yeah.
A big part of that was they were deliberately cross-matching on a lot of the lineups that they were doing, just to try to keep Horford by the rim. But especially when they started going double big, they have a lot of opportunity where they don't have to double him. And he got a lot of assists just by being able to move it right off, or I guess hockey assists by being able to move it off of those doubles. I don't think they even need to do that.
Yeah, I think when it comes to him with his back to the basket, you probably just let that go straight up.
Yeah.
But you know what? Every once in a while, you do have to mix it up, because what you can't do with Embiid is say, hey, Joel, it's going to be straight up every time. So then he can be like, oh, okay, if that's going to be the case, then I'm just going to do this. Because he's shown that he can spin off of Al Horford. He's shown that he can, do a couple of things. He's not going to back people down. You can't put Smart on him in the post and say, okay, Joel's going to back him down or whatever. There's a one key play late in the game where Malcolm Brogdon was guarding him. You're not gonna have that happen and have Joel Embiid say, oh, well, I'm just going to take this guy into the post because I know they're not going to send a double team to me. You're gonna have to throw some here or there just to let them know it might be coming. But I still think that because of his knee, he's not going to be backing people down, and he's going to be out there on the perimeter. And because he's out there on the perimeter, the Celtics can do things like send the guards out, which I believe was your line of questioning all night, which you see Smart guarding Embiid is nothing new, but seeing Malcolm Brogdon on him and being able to face him up is something that is a new wrinkle. And it feels like if you put a guard on him, knowing that he's going to try to dribble past these guards, well, they've got the quick hands that can make it difficult for him. And as soon as he put the ball on the floor, everybody just swarms at him and tries to get the turnover or force him to give it up. So I think it's an effective wrinkle. People like to talk about Joe Mazzulla's adjustments. This is actually a really good adjustment to what Joel Embiid is in this series.
Yeah, I mean, people don't think Joe Mazzulla makes adjustments, right?
Right.
He does. I think you just probably don't notice most of them because it's a very complicated game. It's funny because I remember talking to Joe after the game. He's like, yeah, we didn't make that many adjustments. And then I went back and looked at the table like, no, you made like 7 adjustments. Like there were a ton of adjustments in game 2. And there were even more in this game. I think, honestly, we just saw them leaning into a lot of those. I think the more guard-heavy matchups on Embiid was definitely a little bit different. Just the fact that Malcolm Brogdon guarded Joel Embiid, I think it's funny. And we should laugh. Let's have a good laugh together at that. Thank you, everyone. Honestly, what would have been really funny is if he just didn't send any help for Brogdon, and Joel's like, wait, what's going on here? Where's the double? Because they also triple teamed him a lot.
Yes.
I think they quadruple teamed him. I think they sent 6 defenders at him at one point.
Yeah,
Grant was still rolling around on the ground at one point.
Like Peyton Pritchard dove in there a couple times off the bench.
I forgot he was on the team. But, Embiid, I think what they did was they mixed it up on him enough that he would get 2 buckets in a row and they would flip the coverage. They would change the personnel. They would change the angle that they were helping from. Philly did like an okay job with their spacing, but there was a bunch of possessions I was watching, especially in the fourth quarter, where I'm like, they could have spaced this better to give Joel better outlets so they could actually zip the ball around. Because they had some great moments in this game where they were really zipping the ball around. Like I think the best offense of the evening was like early Celtics, where they came out just like super crisp drive and kick, and Philly did a good job of taking that away. I thought Doc Rivers did a pretty good job with the game plan in this game. But fourth quarter, it's when it all comes down to, right? And the Celtics, they just had like different segments of the game where they knew what they were getting to. And Philly, I think they were really hoping that Harden and Embiid could take over, and they couldn't really do it. Yeah, no, well, yeah, Harden, whatever. Yeah, Embiid, I don't think Embiid has takeover power right now. Like and that's what makes the Harden thing so, I think from a Sixers perspective, I'm sure the guys on Locked On Sixers are going to be like talking a lot about that. When you know that Harden is playing like that, it kind of changes how you can effectively guard Embiid, because you're like, you know what? Jaylen on Harden, like you don't need to worry about throwing 2 guys at Harden because he's giving the ball up. I'm sure somebody on the sideline is looking at Harden's game going like, oh, he's checked out. So let's just hold on. Everybody I was sitting right here. Everyone here was talking about how Harden was checked out. Yeah. We were wondering if Ime Udoka was in the stands tonight. Like he was really checked out. It seemed like, and to be fair to Harden, it's one, he never plays defense, so it's not like you're going to see it there. He was continuing to try to churn out the offense. He just was super unaggressive, trying to hunt his own shot. Yeah, he just played like somebody who did not trust his own ability to score anymore. So yeah, Harden's still here. He's still engaged. Yeah, like I don't think we should be saying stuff like he has one foot out the door to Houston, even though he does. But we should at least give him credit for the fact. But we shouldn't be saying it. Like he did hit a big 3 off of a Joel pass at the very end. It's just like a little too late. He did do that. Yeah, but I don't think we should pretend like Harden is like being trash for the sake of being trash. He just has some sort of crisis of confidence, I guess, in a shot right now. And let's not forget he did have the Achilles issue. Maybe his Achilles is sore. Could be that game 1 came off of 10 days off and he felt good, and now the every other day grind of this series is just not giving him enough time to kind of recuperate. And he had to step up. Like it was do or die. Like they had to at least be competitive in that game if not win it. So he showed up for that. And now he's like, Joel, please, for God's sake. Yeah. And to be fair, Tyrese Maxey he's having a terrible series. He is. Like he did score in game 1, but I think he was like 10 for 24. And I think that was exacerbated by him missing like 4 threes in a row in the middle of the fourth quarter in that game. But Maxey every game has like this one moment in transition where he blows by everybody and then like he like goes to the reverse and you're like, oh God, he's feeling it. He's going to run him out the gym. Tyrese Maxey had He had 16 shots tonight. I only remember him hitting like 2 of them.
Yeah.
It was like he didn't feel his presence at all. And then when he's not turning them over and not getting out into the transition, he's not really bringing what they need out of their third star.
Yeah, I mean, I called him like one of the other guys on one of my podcasts, and like Sixers fans jumped in and were like, you don't know what you're talking about. He's a second option. I'm like, well, I don't know, man.
He's other plus.
I mean, yeah, he's right. But come on, I know what he's like on the non-Celtics games, but against the Celtics, he very much plays like a role player against the Celtics. And look, I think that has something to do. The Celtics defense has something to do with all of that, because you can stay home on those guys. You can bother their shots. I thought defensively the Celtics did a great job. Let's just start at the beginning here. They open up.
Wait, can I just jump in real quick?
Yeah.
We have to give the credit to Jaylen Brown, because Jaylen Brown, one, offensively has been really good in the series, but also him taking on Harden for most of these last 2 games has freed up Smart and White, who are not in there together very often because they're going double big. But when they're in the game, they're able to either take Maxey or freelance. And that really goes down to Brown just continuing to bother Harden with his length. And they're icing Harden against the sidelines. Harden is like too patient in the middle, so he's not really attacking those gaps when they emerge. And a lot of that is that Jaylen Brown's length from behind has been bothering him. He's been doing like a Derek White level defensive performance in the series.
That's true. Yeah. Jaylen has the defense, and then he has 19 points in the second and third quarters to carry the Celtics while, the game's going back and forth, and the Celtics are just kind of nursing this lead, which was somewhere like 8 for most of that time. But Tatum didn't get going. It didn't feel like he got going until like the end. He had that big 7-point burst. Brown in the middle of it, on top of playing the defense, he is really having a great 2-way series. Jaylen, 23 points. He got to the line 7 times, which is more than anybody on the Celtics, which is kind of unique for him. He had the 7 rebounds. He's not a big rebounder. He had 5 assists. He's not a big assist guy. Yep. So Jaylen did a lot of the past couple of games have been really, really big games for him. Celtics come out. This was big night. Embiid's MVP. This crowd is full of angry Sixers fans. This is their opportunity. It's 1-1. You're coming back home. Game 3. This is the game you're supposed to win. And the Celtics come out to like a 14-4 opening, and it's like stunned. And in the third quarter, you start hearing boos, or halftime, you start hearing a smattering of boos. And then by the time the game is over, tons of boos. Like, so this is this.
I felt like they were directed at one person in particular.
Yes. But so the Celtics did a really good job right away, taking the crowd kind of out of it and not having to deal with the super hyped up crowd and the type of atmosphere where it's fueling guys, the home team, the typical, like, they're feeding off the crowd type of thing. I always know that you're in trouble when Joel Embiid is doing this that stuff to the crowd.
That's a death blow there.
Whenever he does that, he's either already at 40 points or he's about to drop 40 points, and there's nothing you can do, but he's just feeling it. You got none of that in this game, even though he had the 30. You had no real playing to the crowd, and this was the atmosphere that I think everybody feared. And I thought that was important. It was an important run to start the game and set the tone.
Yeah, I think the big reason why Embiid never got there was that, like, every time that Embiid started to build some steam, they were able to just change things up enough on him that he never had that huge run. Because Embiid all the time will go on like a 9-point swing on his own, and you're like, oh, MVP time. Yeah. Can't do anything about it. And he never physically dominated this game consistently. Most of his scoring was coming from his shooting over Grant or whoever he had in the cross match. He had a couple really good drives, but he didn't really do anything in transition that I can remember. He didn't really get any big pick and pop shots. Did he have any threes? He won 1 for 2. But like he didn't do a lot of the stuff that's a real backbreaker that makes you feel like, oh, there's nothing I can do. It was really just his finesse high post game, which for one should make you very scared because you're like, if this gets to like, well, it's going to get to game 5, right?
Yeah.
If by game 5, which is unfortunately it's so close to now that I don't think he has enough recovery time to like really get better.
Yeah.
But like he could drop 50 points in game 5. I wouldn't put it past him.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past him because he's, he is that good. But I think you're right. Like there's the every other day, and especially playing 40 minutes, 39 minutes in this game. That's might be the most surprising stat.
That's incredible that he played that many
39 minutes.
he just like almost tore his knee like 2 weeks ago.
That's
a grade 2. It's basically a tear, and he's that's incredible.
That blows my mind.
Yeah.
That blows my mind. I mean, that's crazy. So hey, if he comes back and plays, not only is it every other day, but it's a 3:30 start. So that's another. Hey, look, it's 4 hours. That's still not the full recovery time. So, hey, and
then it's a travel day after that. Yeah.
So, hey, we'll see. We'll see if that maybe he was just feeling it because this was his MVP game. If things don't go well early, I think this might be an opportunity in game 4 for the Celtics to have a big first half and kind of really, really frustrate the hell out of these guys. I know one thing, Embiid is an emotional guy. And he can be frustrating. If you get to that point, then you really have the potential to knock this series out in a hurry. But that's down the road. Other big story here: Al Horford, who you might have heard is an elite shooter. So.
By the way, Al pretending like he didn't give a crap about that after the game was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
That was great.
It's so fun, man. Al, I mean, I could see it in shoot around. He kind of had like this edge to him. Like, okay, Al is ready. Like Al had a little something for this game. And, after shooting, I forget what the number was. It was like 20% or something over the course of the playoffs. He comes in.
He's been shooting that well. I didn't realize.
Yeah, right. I think the number was 29% coming into this.
That's not horrible. 29% on small volume versus 40% is like 2 shots. It's not horrible.
Yeah.
But he clearly has not been.
But he had been.
He
obviously, he'd been slumping.
Yeah, but his defense has been great. So it's been fine.
But 5 of 7 from 3. That was a big deal. I think there might be nothing that Philly fans hate more than Al Horford doing good things against them.
No, I know one thing. It's his siblings talking shit about it on Twitter. That's what it is. Where's Anna at right now?
Talking a whole lot. Talking a whole lot.
I'll pull up the TL for that. Actually, I'm going to pull it up while you talk. Go ahead.
So Horford hitting the threes, and he hit a huge 3 at the end. So was it Grant Williams gets a 3-pointer in the corner? Shot comes off. Weird rebounding angle. It gets tipped out, goes to Brogdon. Brogdon over to Horford. Horford fakes the pass and then takes the shot and hits that. That's his 5th 3-pointer of the night. That starts a run where Tatum starts to take over and hits his 7 straight Celtics points. How's the Anna Horford?
It's magnificent. It's a middle finger, a photo of Al talking shit to Duke in that moment. Just quote tweeting people L. And then blowing a kiss to Spike Eskin. That's probably the best part. When someone called her the C word and she responded with a green heart. That's very on brand. Great work, Anna. Yeah. Very proud of you.
Anna Horford versus Philadelphia.
The first family of the NBA strikes again.
Is like one of the NBA's like subplots. It's just great. It's great.
It's a quick story. My favorite moment in my entire journalistic career was I was interviewing during the playoffs last year. I was interviewing Anna and all the siblings. And I remember we were sitting in the family room and Tito knocks on the window of the family room we're sitting in.
Yep.
And right as I'm asking them, I literally asked them right before this happens, is the whole chocolate milk thing real? Like, is he actually obsessed with it? And they're like, our dad is obsessed with chocolate milk. Right at that moment, knock, knock, knock. Literally waves a carton of chocolate milk.
Get out of here.
And he goes, Josh, do you want any chocolate milk? And they're like, Dad, get out of here. It was the most perfectly timed thing. I'm like, is this really happening right now?
Tino Horford, by the way, is a massive human being.
Yeah, I saw you talking to him afterwards, and I was like, I've never seen Karalis look up at somebody like that before.
It feels like I'm talking to Taco Fall. He is 7'1", but he's got good posture.
Oh, he's that tall?
He's 7'1".
I was wondering because he seems so much bigger than Al. I didn't realize.
Yeah.
You're right. He does.
7'1",
he gets his chest up and
but
everything.
he's got most tall people have bad posture because you're always slouching to get through things. So you just have a tendency to
or to talk down to the rest of us.
Right.
In the world,
So you
really.
develop this nice little hump on your back because you're always looking down. Tito Horford is like standing up straight and is like, every time I see him, I'm like intimidated. He's might be the most intimidating man I've ever like. He just looks at you. I'm like, I just want to say, sir, yes, sir, no, sir, whatever you say, sir. Like he's like the nicest guy.
Yeah.
But I swear, I feel like he can like at any moment just rip my face off. It's Tito Horford.
Probably wouldn't criticize Al too much on the show.
I wouldn't. I would certainly never question his ability to shoot the ball.
No.
Celtics closed well in this one. I thought there was a stretch there in the fourth quarter. So it's 13 points in the fourth quarter. They have opportunities to kind of put this thing away. George Niang starts going off. Like it starts to feel like oh crap, here we go again.
Yeah, it's like
Tatum,
melting all over again. Yeah.
Tatum misses a free throw. Jaylen offensive foul. Niang is killing you for a stretch. You're like, what? He's beating guys off the dribble? What is happening here? But to their credit, the Celtics hit the huge shots. They didn't milk the clock like they usually do quite as bad, maybe a couple times. Not quite as bad. They got into their offense. Brogdon hits a big shot. Horford hits the big shot. And then Tatum, poor Tobias Harris. I mean, poor Tobias Harris.
He's supposed to be a good matchup on Tatum. He just torched him.
He has nothing. Tobias Harris cannot guard Jayson Tatum. 3 straight possessions. They just ran a simple pick. Tatum posts him up at the 3-point line, gets the ball, and just does whatever he wants. Drive, fade away in the baseline, drive, step back, corner 3-pointer, and then the rip-through move, which was super smart because they were in the penalty.
Yeah.
Rips through, draws the foul, and hits the 2 free throws, and it's a wrap. So great kind of finish at a point where it was like starting to teeter, and I'm sure every Celtics fan was sitting there going like, oh, again, they turned it around, and that I don't know if that's going to carry over, but I mean, it has to be at least a little bit encouraging that they were able to finish the game.
Well, like for one, this is how it's supposed to go, right? You play a good game, and then your star's like, all right, I'm gonna end this real quick.
Yeah.
And then boom, boom, boom. That's what Embiid usually does. And that's what JT was able to do. And I thought what made it so poetic was it was the same play from the same spot 3 times in a row. And once again, they were screening him onto what should be a good matchup for Philadelphia.
Right.
They weren't targeting, was Maxey in the game or Harden? Like the first game, they were like, we're just going to go at Harden. We're going to put Harden in the help situations and then just torch him as much as possible. This game, like, I don't care. Just give me anybody. It doesn't matter. Because anyone besides PJ Tucker, just let me take him.
Yeah.
And, you know, like Harris is tall. It has long arms. He should be able to stop that. And JT just got such perfect separation that I think it wasn't even about the separation. It's a mindset thing.
Yeah.
Like JT was like, you know, this is Joel's MVP night. I've been watching Joel grow as an MVP all these years, working out with him over the summers. I want to ruin this night for him. That's what a good competitor does.
Absolutely.
And he did. He did a great job ruining his
great job. Just pissing all over it that night. Let's wrap things up here real quick. Robert Williams, 16 minutes. He had that forearm injury, forearm contusion. He seems they
shattered arm.
Fine. Yeah.
Joe shook his hand, so we're good.
He's fine.
Yeah.
He's
what was
fine.
funny is I noticed on the bench the trainer was like shaking his hand, like trying to test it out.
Yeah.
And Rob looks like he was in rough shape, so I'm like, oh, did he break his arm?
Yeah.
And then he said it was a cut or contusion or whatever.
They said it's a
contusion. I'm like, that's a bad contusion if they're doing that test to you and he's struggling with it.
Yeah. So it felt like, just looking at the replay, it was hard to tell because he had that save, that crazy save, which was awesome from the corner way up all over to the other side. But it looked like he fell and hit his elbow, and you get that nerve, that kind of like funny bone type of situation. But it looked like he hit it really, really hard, and I feel like his arm probably went numb.
Yeah,
for a while.
And the way that the guys
really
were coming up to him, you thought that he had a serious injury.
Yeah. So, but
he seems fine.
He was available to return, so that seems fine. So that's good.
Yeah, I mean, Joel Embiid was available to return in game 1, and he had basically torn knees. So
right.
Yeah,
but
I mean, for Rob, he better play through an upper body injury. After all the lower body injuries, he better play through that.
Yeah.
I know he has like medical conditions and all that kind of stuff, but like you got to play through that. You got to show that you can fight through it.
But he blocked 3 shots.
Yeah, he was
I
good.
thought the Celtics defense, aside from the foul, so that early on, this game could have been over early if they just defended without fouling, but they just continued to foul so much in the first quarter that kept everything close. They were playing worlds better, I felt like, in the first quarter, and it was at one point the Sixers had a lead. I'm like, the Sixers are playing like crap. How are they lead?
Yeah, how do they lead?
Because
so weird.
they just kept getting to the free throw line, living at the line. Once they cut that out, and credit to Joe Mazzulla, he said, "Stop fouling." And they said, "Oh, okay, yeah."
Truly
I
incredible
thought you said
coach.
before the game to foul. You stop fouling? All right, yeah, okay.
I love it's like, yeah, they know what they're doing. They know when I say stop fouling, what that means. I'm sorry, you guys probably don't know because you're not basketball experts. When someone says stop fouling, it means don't foul.
Yeah.
So the Celtics put that part of their game plan into action, and boom, they really turned it around.
So it's funny that Robert Williams and Grant Williams, Rob had 4 points, Grant had 0 points, and I thought both of them were like hugely impactful in not a ton of minutes, 16 minutes for Rob, 23 minutes for Grant. I thought they were both incredibly impactful. Shout out to Grant Williams for being made of steel. Joel Embiid like just straight up stomped on his head accidentally. It straight up stomped on his head. When I saw the replay, like I couldn't tell what happened in real time because again I was like hanging from the rafters. I saw the replay and I like cringed because I thought the way it looked, like how does Grant even still have a nose on his face? How does that nose even still exist? And he came back in. Like that's somebody, like how does he still have teeth in his
I thought
mouth?
he was dead.
How does he still like have like
I was sitting right here and it happened like right there about. Yeah. And so we saw like the straight up angle that like you basically were seeing on the broadcast of like him just getting and Grant's head straight up disappeared for a second.
Yes.
And I was so scared because I thought of I'm not supposed to curse on this. I was so scared because I thought of that scene from Midsummer. I don't know if anyone here's seen Midsummer. No. I'm not gonna describe it because it's horrifying. But that's what it reminded me of. Is it was mortifying. And the fact that he just like kind of jumped back up. I love the way that Jaylen said it. He was like Grant Williams like got like almost died and then just like got up all bloody with a smile on his face. That's Grant Williams. It was so true. And I talked to Grant after the game. I was like, what were you thinking? He's like, he said he had got up and felt that he was bleeding all over his face, and he said, "Well, I guess I got to go to the bench now." It's the most Grant Williams quote I've ever heard.
What a maniac!
He did say he's a crazy person as well.
Yeah.
Because it was great. I think it was Suichi Tirada from Matt's Live asked him, "Did you have to get tested for a concussion?" And when he asked that question, I'm like, "Wait, what?" And then Grant's like, "Wait, you know what? Maybe I should have." He's like, "Am I concussed? I don't know. I'm a crazy person. I'll be fine."
But no one can tell the difference. He seems like normal Grant.
He has a concussion just like as a state of mind.
Yes.
But I mean, Grant. It's funny because I did not realize Grant only played 23 minutes until just now. Because when Grant's on the floor, you notice that Grant is on the floor because something's going really well or really poorly.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of that in this game. But I mean, the big thing that's really been huge for them since Embiid got back is the way they're doing double big. It's one guy hits Embiid high and then the second guy hits Embiid low. So Embiid never gets a free roll. And it's a big reason why him and Harden are not working well together right now is they've done a really good job of either pressing Embiid far away and hoping that the spacing works for them, which like was half and half. I thought Harden did some good stuff with that tonight. But it was really that like if Horford's up on the pick and roll, Grant is literally intercepting Embiid halfway through the paint and just shoving him out of the paint. Yeah. And it works really well to make sure Embiid never got into that rhythm on the pick and roll.
Well, I think the Celtics have done enough in these two games where they really are in a position here in game 4 to take full control. But as I've said this on the podcast, we're falling right back into the trap. I said after game 1, I can completely see the Celtics winning 3 games in a row, which by the way, I know that Sixers fans in there in the comments, I saw the comments, they were laughing. They're like, oh, 3 games in a row. I think you can see it happening right now.
See it. No, I hope not, but you can see it.
I think the Celtics could easily win 3 games in a row, go back to Boston game 5, and soil themselves. Completely botch that game, have to come back here for game 6. Everybody has to book their last-minute trips and make this just like the Hawk series. Just instead of being able to finish things off where they're supposed to, make it harder on themselves. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
The Hawk series was fun. Let's do that again.
It was fun.
I'm enjoying Philadelphia. All I care about is whether I'm having fun. I don't care about the rest of it.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. But I know everybody who's watching and listening is more concerned about let's finish this thing off. Let's get everybody some rest. Let's let the Knicks and the Heat just pound the crap out of one another, and everybody can just chill out. Don't you want Tatum and Horford to, relax and get right? And that's
because remember last year was a gauntlet, right? Like Tatum was playing hurt in that Bucks series. They had to push at the very end, and then he was dragging through that Miami series, and then he ran out of steam halfway through the finals.
Right.
And so it is really important for them if they can get any sort of head start on resting.
Yeah. So I mean,
because they're good enough that they don't need the rhythm coming into the series. They can split the first 1-1, especially against Miami and New York, who's probably not as good as this Philadelphia team, even with Embiid struggling. They're probably like right there with the way that Philadelphia is right now. But like the Celtics can deal with rust at the beginning of a series. They have the talent. They have good enough coaching. They have the wherewithal to do it. They need to make sure these guys aren't banged up. And like Smart has like 17,000 injuries right now.
Yeah.
His entire upper body is like probably in a cast as we're speaking right now.
Exactly.
So
Smart could get it. Like a few extra days off will probably do him some good. You wrap him in bubble wrap or whatever.
Just suspend him somewhere.
Yeah.
Just have him float in some sort of tank.
All right, well, that'll do it. Celtics get this win. It feels good. I'm impressed with this win. This is a really good win. This is a really good one.
It's a great game.
So game 4 Sunday. So I'll have a post game pod on Sunday, and then hopefully it's 3-1, and the Celtics can try to take care of business and maybe do a would this even be called a gentleman's sweep? Because I feel like a gentleman's sweep, if they're able to pull it off, knowing again that the Celtics still have one complete botch job in them in this series. If you give up the first game and then get the 4, there's got to be a different name than gentleman's sweep, because that's like, oh, we've beaten you, but then you get a game, and it's like you got to win 3 in a row, then you give up the 1, and then you finish them off. That feels more gentleman's sweep.
I would call it a bum sweep. Like you're just a bum who couldn't get it together in time for game 1. And they're like, oh, fine. I guess I'll go do my job.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know. People, if you got a name for it, leave it in the comments. Leave it in the comments. Leave it in the comments. Do it that way. All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening, for watching. Bonus podcast here at the Wells Fargo Center. Make sure you're listening. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're watching on YouTube. And share the podcast. Tell your friends, family, everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.